Andre and Scout that just make this team so hard to crack because they are so consistent at just keeping themselves safe, keeping themselves, you know, at arm's length, not getting caught out, and it really does feel like they are just an impenetrable armor for the side of EDG. They really do prop them up so fantastically well. But we're going to talk about them a little bit more once we know what picks they're going into this game with, as we are jumping into picks and bans. Suning on the blue, EDG on the red. Diana, Renekton, Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Camille all banned away. Still things on the board like the Set, the Nocturne, the Rumble, things that EDG are still probably running through their heads. And the Akali not going to get through this time. And Suning got themselves the first pick.
Yeah, and the first thing that jumps out to you right is the Nocturne, but I wonder if for the side of EDG, if they just want to go for something like the Senna Karma here. We've seen it's been pretty much banned against them consistently, and ever since they lost that game to BLG, if it has been open, they've picked it. But I think now EDG have a question in their head. Do they want to go for something like that immediately, or do they want to pick up the Nocturne here that Suning have decided to leave open? You also know Suning probably want to get their hands on that Set. We've seen Angel's performance on it and how it impacts with the Rumble, so maybe Rumble for the side of Suning, Senna Karma or Senna Nocturne coming out now, and then Suning probably answering with the Set.
Taking a little while just to see the full lock-in here for EDG, but it is going to be the Karma and the Set most likely being locked and loaded here for the side of EDG. And for Suning, you've got yourself a couple of options. Of course, the reason why we see Rumble so highly prioritized is that it can technically go into the mid lane or top lane, but you do generally see it to the jungle, and it opens you up to have those AD solo laners. It opens you up to have the Nocturnes, the Sets, the you know, the Lee Sins and Renektons in your team comp. For Suning right now, they know they're going up against a Set. That could still be a Karma in the bot lane for Mako. And we'll be curious to see where they go. And the Viego has flipped through the picks and bans. And that could be the first little pick here now for the side of Suning. Still keeping themselves nice and flexible in this first stage of the draft.
Yeah, and I wonder if Suning will decide to lock this in. It does seem like they did as the timers ran out, but I kind of like the Karma and Set pick coming in instead of the aforementioned Nocturne that we talked about, because if Suning picked Nocturne right into Set Karma, you're jumping into a tank that is great peel and someone who provides shields and speed up. So it'd be kind of awkward to pull it out in this composition unless you want to keep following up with more dive. We are going to see one of Suning's soul laners pilot the Viego. Though, as you mentioned, Rumble can always be put in a soul lane. I don't think Angel or Bin are very much soul lane players, but soul lane Rumble players, I'm sorry. They obviously play soul lanes, but
I was going to say,
no
a little bit of a mistake there. I hope they're solo players. They have to do that 99% of the time.
But no one on the side of Suning has played Viego other than SOFM so far.
It does feel like that Viego would be going into the hands of a soul laner, as Rumble would be most likely going towards a jungle pick. It just makes sense when you have such a fast clear and
of course,
being able to influence the rest of the map. Yeah, we
just
can't
gotta
say
keep
for
the
sure.
possibilities
It's
open, right? You gotta keep the possibilities open. But now for the side of EDG, they're going with a composition very much in the same vein of what we saw RNG pull out earlier. We still don't have a jungle pickup coming out from the side of EDG just yet, so I'm kind of curious to see where JJ will decide to go with this one. Things like the Volibear are still open, which he has played and would fit their composition. Give it another frontliner, you'd be playing a lot more for Viper. Or the other thing that he's pulled out so far would be the Udyr, always a possibility, though. Of course, some more nerfs coming out on this patch, which is why we haven't seen him as much. The Diana being the other thing, but then I think you'd really need a lot more, a lot stronger of another AD soul laner coming out for either Flandre or Scout.
Well, the Diana's banned, so we're probably not going to see that one either. So we actually might see the Volibear being locked and loaded, and it's exactly what you talked about. Almost certainly going to be going into JJ's hands, and seeing if they're able to get that full front-to-back team fight going for them. And they've got a lot of that, that kite-back comp that we talked about earlier today in our first series with the Ezreal, with the Karma. There's an awful lot of delay here that you will be very, very difficult for the side of Suning to break down, considering they are looking to try and just set up, skirmishes with the Viego to get right up into your face.
Yeah, and now for Suning, I expect him to lock in the Leona. You really don't have anything else, I think, that wants to go toe-to-toe with the Karma. If the Rakan comes out, I think that can be a pretty rough matchup for the side of Rakan. I really like when we see Rakan into matchups that are a bit easier for him, like we've seen him come out against other tank supports in other tank champions, where he can just kind of flow in and out of the fight, dodge a lot of those CCs, to where For Karma, you know you're pretty much going to take the full brunt of the poke coming out from Ezreal Karma, assuming the Karma gets put into the support role. So, yeah, I like the pick coming in. Force suiting, it's full on dive, it's full on engage. And Scout going to go back to the Sylas, where, I mean, Scout and Knight this split, I feel like, have given us the best silence performances thus far. I mean, Scout's uses of, like, other players' ultimates was absolutely ridiculous. I can't remember who it was against, but his equalizer on the Sylas, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and look at the amount of ultimates he can take. The Gnar ultimate, the Rumble equalizer, hell, even the Chain of Corruption and the Solar Burr from Huanfeng and Ong on the bot side. There is a plethora, a bounty of so many different ultimates that regardless of which one he takes, it's going to be impactful in these team fights.
I am a bit surprised to see him elect into the Sylas versus Viego matchup because, of course, Viego, very prolific at being good against melee mid laners. You outrange him, your threat from Q. You have a ton of sustain in lane. I'd say even more consistent sustain than the Sylas, right? Because Sylas needs to all in you with his W. Viego, throw your Q on the minion wave, get the hits of the Q passive, heal back up. So I want to see how Scout navigates through this rougher matchup. And then once we get into the mid game, they have a ton of disengage and safety for their Ezreal, but they do have this 3-man front line that is very brawly, can jump in, can get directly onto the Varus and just take over the game.
And that's the big thing as well. The fact that if the Varus does go down, it becomes much more difficult for the side of Suning to really kind of control the tempo of team fights. And, you know, you need your AD carry in pretty much all instances to try and be able to burn, you know, especially when we're looking towards burning down those shields from the Karma and the likes, you know, with the Serpent Fangs, he's going to be the main damage dealer for that. But EDG, they've got themselves the front to back. They've got themselves a pretty decent spread of AP and AD, and it's business as usual for them in the picks and bans department. And for Suning, it's going to be all about how can they get onto this backline. Can they just, you know, create distortion, separate the fight out, and look to try and make their big, you know, wombo combo work out.
And interesting that we do see the Conqueror coming out on the Rumble. I've talked to a lot of players about this, as Rumble used to be one of my main champions, about how they feel on it, and it's a very decisive rune because a lot of people feel like it's too hard to get full stacks on Conqueror as Rumble. Like, you pretty much need to be hitting like some insane ultimates, or the whole enemy team running into you getting off like Flame Spitter E, all those things pretty consistently. So we're going to see how SOFM does. I mean, half of EDG's comp very clearly does want to be running into you. And Suning later on will be able to rely on strong side laners. Both Gnar and Viego should be able to win in their respective 1v1s. Suning can open up the map through that route. We've seen Angel and Bin especially make a lot of cheeky plays on side lanes, picking people off and pulling out wins.
You can see there, I like this from Angel, just stopping scouts from scouting out any kind of information, making sure that they don't know exactly where SOFM is starting. And SOFM going to go leashless onto the Raptors. And this is an interesting kind of adaptation that I've seen quite a few times now from the side of Rumble players. You see it in solo queue quite a bit as well, is that they will just take the Raptors straight away because they know they can take that camp without any help whatsoever, get the early level 2, and then they should be fine for their laners to be able to go to the lane nice and early so they don't lose priority.
Right, that's the thing. It does two things. First of all, obviously your camps will cycle through faster, so you can be, you know, getting, you know, your respawn timers on faster, getting more EXP quicker, more gold, etc., etc. And the other big thing I like to highlight is the fact that it allows your laners to get themselves into a good position. You don't have to leash, you don't have to just give up priority for free to Viper and Mako, especially from the fact that Viper and Mako would be doing it anyway. So now you're allowing yourself to not get zoned off EXP walking back to lane from leashing for your jungler.
I'm just going to skip the red buff completely, SOFM. I'm very curious to watch his jungle pathing now. So, yet to pick up a buff. We'll pick up his Krugs and his Raptors. Actually just avoiding all buffs entirely at the moment. So, we'll keep an eye on him as his jungle pathing does develop. And we'll see exactly what way this Rumble works. It could be absolute god tier. It could be trash tier.
Look at JJ, though, Penguin.
Well, speaking of god tier, it's going to be the Volibear Demigod going into the side of the mid lane. Angel gets caught out. Scout's going to be able to pick him up. It's not going to be much more he can do about it. Flash forward, first blood, nicely done. EDG on the board.
I mean, Scout hitting the Abscond Abduct guaranteed that kill for the side of EDG. Angel then flashes, but Hitting the Obscena Duck gave JJ the time to get in range so he can just flash stun. Then he knew Angel was dead. Wondered if Scout didn't feel comfortable waiting out his cooldown for the fact that he didn't know if SOFM was already on his way or not. Does decide to burn flash. But in the end, you also got enemy mid laner's flash. You get to kill yourself. You get this nice reset timing where you don't have to use TP, and Angel did. So TP advantage for Edward Gaming.
TP advantage and bot lane advantage. You can see just how powerful the poke is from Viper and Mako on this Ezreal Karma combination. And SOFM now going to take his red buff. It showed that he was about to camp behind, but now he actually gets a full reset. And this is the... if he starts taking this fight, this is kind of why he decides to go the path he decides to do. It means he gets the buff a little bit longer, he gets his camps up a little bit quicker, and we'll see how this one goes. I'm actually very, very intrigued about this whole jungle path thing. Maybe he does 2 full clears before he goes back the first time.
And it also just shows, you know, how SOFM plays, right? It's how he's always played, trying to maximize his gold, the minions he's able to get to that point of power extremely quickly. Why he's also able to have such a high damage percentage for a jungler on a team like Suning. So for Suning, the thing I'm most interested in is when level 6s come out, especially for that bottom lane, right? Once you get access to Varus and Leona ultimate, but they're not going to wait for those.
They're not going to wait for the ultimates just yet. Mako getting a lot of poke down, but On just gives back as good as he got. And now Viper and Mako, not a lot of mana onto Viper, but no real health bar from his AD carry or support to keep him going with it. And I like the idea from the side of Suning, but the execution left a lot to be desired.
I mean, the thing is, right, they just don't have the way to lock down Viper and Mako. That's why we were just about to hit on the point that level 6's Chains of Corruption comes out. You have the Leona ultimate to follow up. It sets up perfectly for the equalizer. I mean, this is literally the best example of kill lane versus poke lane, right? So for Suning, you really have to wait for that before anything is able to come online. Now that JJ saw that SOFM went for that early gank, he knew from the health he'd most likely have to recall, or if not, right, he'd be making his way towards his topside camps. So EDG doing a nice job taking advantage of the window that Suning gave them by failing that bot lane gank.
Yeah, and even regardless of health or mana or anything like that, just straight up from the items, knowing that he just hadn't gone back yet, was still sitting on just his smite item and a refillable potion. Now has himself the Sorcerer's Shoes, so very easily able to get himself back onto the Rift and roam around this map. But first dragon over to EDG, good start for them, and this is again similar to what we've seen all last split from EDG as well, where they just take their time. They're happy playing this long kind of low, low kill game because they feel like they are just stronger in the 5v5s.
Yeah, and that's what we've seen EDG doing better, right? He's transferring their pressure, playing as a unit, finding advantages, mid lane gank dragon, so on and so forth. But for the side of Suning, you do have some CS advantages brewing up. Bin, of course, having the winning matchup over Flandre. We've seen Gnar versus Set earlier in the day. And in mid lane, Viego just being able to outright brawl with the Sylas. You outrange him with autos. If you play correctly, you can very easily just tether him from being able to hit you back. Your Q's on a 5-second cooldown. And Sylas not having an easy time of getting on you with your mist either, so even good ways to dodge out from his all-in potential to where that's where Sylas shines. So I feel like that's why we're seeing Scout play a lot more of an enabler role, right? We've seen wards come out, he's going to be looking to pair up with JJ and start doing work on the map. Angel playing for the 1v1 though, Executioner's calling on his side to make sure that Scout can't get any of that cheeky healing.
Well, speaking of cheeky healing, I mean, a lot of healing here for the side of Mako as he goes down. Had to burn his flash, but it was all for naught. SOFM gets himself level 6, gets himself into the bot side. Great equalizer, get themselves on the board.
And EDG thought they were safe because you look at their vision control, right? They have 2 wards in River. There's even a ward in the brush that Huanfeng is recalling in. So they thought, hey, there's really no angle for SOFM to gank us. But guess what? SOFM just needs to drop his ultimate. He's level 6, doesn't need to contribute anything else to the kill. The damage will be there. And Suning now on the board.
Suning now on the board is so important as well. The fact that the kill went over to Huanfeng, he was falling behind. He's about 20 CS less than his counterpart on EDG. But this is where you... Oh, speaking of things that might go advantage, Angel just gets himself away through the mist. But this is the kind of situation where if the Ezreal does get ahead, he stays ahead. Very difficult for Varus to kind of deal with it just with the consistent poke coming out. Now On might be in a lot of trouble. JJ flashes forward, gets himself a stun down. Flash there by the Leona. and to be able to get him out with a solar flare, not quite catching, but the chains do instead, and that is going to be a nice kill here, second one of the game for Scout. And this feels like, again, EDG just playing the map stronger, playing the map better.
And I really like how EDG play around these Rift Heralds, right? They group up, they get control of mid, they don't waste any abilities. You don't see like last game where Scout's trying to abscond, abduct into Fog of War, trying to waste key abilities. They walk in the choke point as a unit, and they're very decisive on their engage coming out. The second they see on, they do commit to the play, and it's going to give them the kill. Sadly, still not really able to turn that into a Rift Herald because Bin is still the one with pressure up in topside. And the fact that he walked away from mid, Angel has kept prio pretty consistently, but able to get that wave pushed out as well.
SOFM starts up the Rift Herald, but with Mako and JJ now here with Scout, becomes very difficult for him to really continue this one. And I feel
on
like
the way as well.
Yeah, they're all coming. You can see very low down the side there, but why are you trying to defend this one, SOFM? You know you don't have the people here. You have to give up this objective. You don't have the people available. They are just going to back themselves away. That's going to be Rift Herald going over to the side of EDG. They do have a chain of corruption here for the side of Suning, but they're going to have to back themselves away. And again, this is Rift Herald, man. In the day of Rift Heralds or teams with Rift Heralds, they just don't understand the priority, and it feels like Suning, they just didn't need to go for that.
I do feel like Suning could have taken the fight and would have made sense because Viper and Scout both didn't have their ultimates. But the problem is you need to wait for the rest of your forces to actually arrive, right? The fact that SOFM starts it and gets chunked by before Huanfeng or Bin are even able to rotate means, well, you know, the advantages you just lost over having ultimates and being able to take that fight are completely gone. So a bit of mistiming and miscoordination coming out from the side of Suning.
Just a little bit, as we now see the teams go back to their respective lanes and set themselves back up onto the Rift, as we now have SOFM maybe looking for a return gank here in this bot side. Does he get spotted out by the ward? I do not believe he did. There's the solar flare on top of the equalizer, and they're going to go for Mako. They're bullying him now, but it is On who picks that one up with the ignite. Bit unfortunate it didn't go over to SOFM or Huanfeng, but you'll take a kill for a kill any single day, and Suning just bullying this bot side.
I love the way they're playing around it as well because they have Ezreal Karma. You know they're going to look to aggressively push in, bully you. They've already taken 2 plates. They're going to want to take more. So just looking for these lane games where you know Mako's going to walk too far forward to get off his poke because they win straight up in the 2v2 has been a great adaptation from Suning all game long. It is going to open up another Drake for EDG. And unlike some other teams you have an LPL that I'd say are a bit sheepish on early Drakes, prefer like the gold trade on the opposite side of the map, I think this becomes especially a lot more common this split. EDG are still a team that are all about stacking those and getting to Soul as quickly as possible.
And speaking of Soul, the Mountain Soul is going to be the dragon of this game 1. And 2 already in the back pocket here, or the satchel, if you will, for EDG as they move on forward. And it's kind of what we to be expected. The EDG are the exception that proves the rule in LPL, where everything else is team fights and everything else all about crazy fighting over absolutely every single objective. And when we come to EDG games, it's very calm, tempered, slower kind of, you know, setup in the early game where they eventually build up to that late game where they can just take all team fights. And speaking of fights, Flandre might be in a little bit of trouble. They do get the stun down, but he flashes away, gets the face breaker as well, so Ping going to take a little bit of punishment. Flandre walks himself out of the equalizer and keeps himself alive. Very difficult for the side of Suning to make this work now without the Mega Gnar, and you can see they're looking for it. They do get the Flame Spitter, they smite him down. There's the Haymaker. Bin needs to be a little bit careful. Never mind, gets himself right on the edge of the face breaker, and they eventually make that dive work.
It was close, but still they are able to pull it off. EDG doing a nice job of cross-mapping on the opposite side. So Suning might get a kill. Bin might also get a turret plate, but at the same time, Viper is getting absolutely stacked right now. 30 CS up, getting a ton of plates on the bottom side. As Scout is realizing he can't go for this 1v1 up against Angel.
No, he cannot. Executioner's Calling was the first item picked up there by Angel in that mid lane. I really do love that item against something like a Silas. It just stops him from being as oppressive or as what would be the word, I suppose, aggressive in the lane as you would normally see him be, because he has got that reduced healing. And now SOFM using this moment to pick himself up a steal on the red buff. No Equalizer or Mega Gnar just yet. We got a picture-in-picture of exactly how that went down. And it was a Leona Solar Flare that just ended up missing, and now Flandre Might be in a little bit of trouble. He has no flash. There is a flash for Bin, and you got the overheat now. SOFM actually goes down. Flandre picks up a kill in return. SOFM think he had the health bar, and that's just a straight up unforced error.
This is the third 1v2 I've seen Flandre do this split. I've said this before, but once again, Happy Nelson is out there smiling somewhere, seeing, you know, all the Flandre disrespecters being proven wrong. But still, for the side of Suning, they are the ones winning out in this top side, as Flandre did still go down. So you're going to get a ton of turret plates in Bin. This split push pressure that we hit on before is going to be extremely potent, right? Bin is your strong side. Angel has shown in the 1v1 he is still stronger than the Sylas, especially we saw the interaction, right? Use the mist. If Sylas isn't able to hit the Abscond Abduct, a lot of your trading power is gone. A lot of your lockdown is just completely wasted. So I think Angel doing a good job of showing he understands this matchup quite well.
And again, Angel was the one we highlighted. Despite being 2 kills down, despite, you know, having a lot of pressure around his mid lane, it does feel like Angel is the one that's having the better time of this matchup, knows it very, very well, and still able to make things work for him. Still sitting on a couple of half items until he gets his Divine Sunder fully finished up for himself, and is a little bit of a nuisance until that one does eventually get upgraded. But now we're looking at full completed items pretty much across the board here for the side of EDG. You've got your double Divine Sunderer, you've got your Aerofrost here for Scout on the Sylas, and the Stridebreaker for the set. Means they should be in a lot better situation to be able to try and take these mid-game team fights, and the one I'm specifically looking at is the one at Rift Herald in about 30 seconds time, and there might not be one in 30 seconds, might be right now, as On gets jumped on as he tries to go down. They do land the Solar Flare, but they're just able to keep chasing him down. Viper picks himself up his first kill of the game, and now the side of Suning, they cannot defend against this Rift Herald take. They have to just get themselves back out onto the map and try and take something else.
And EDG just doing a great job of showing us how to use their tempo right on the map first, rotating their bottom lane up towards top side. They had push in mid from that. They guarantee pushing top on that side. They have TP advantage onto Scout. So even if Suning were the ones who opted into a fight, you know that the Sylas is always able to follow up and Viego isn't. And they use all that information to find the pick on, and now they're going to try to translate that into a Rift Herald. Angel is on his way, though. We did see 2 ultimates used for EDG in that exchange, and Viper has no flash. So, Suning, I think, feel pretty confident about taking this one.
They actually are going to go for the fight. Rift Herald was a little bit later on the spawn than I anticipated, and now SOFM on this Dragon is a little bit overheated, but I don't think the side of EDG want to go for the fight. You can see they're recalling people. They don't want to try and go for it just yet. Dragon up in 10 seconds. No need to lose both objectives. You can fight at the Dragon now.
Still, it's nice seeing that both teams understand their timings of when they're able to fight, right? Suning coming in realizing, hey, they just blew a lot to get a pick onto our Leona. We didn't blow anything in that exchange. So we have Equalizer, we have the Trains of Corruption, we have Meganar about to come up. Everything was there. They know they could take the fight. EDG on the opposite side, also decisive in realizing, hey, we're going to go down and try and get pressure for this Drake.
Well, TP from Scout. There is flashes there. So I say that flash forward. There's the Equalizer. Mako is dead. And they're able to get the full reset now, and now Flandre's in a little bit of trouble. Viper as well gets caught out by the Solar Flare, and he will fall. SOFM picks up a kill on Flandre, and out of nowhere, Suning come to life.
Suning doing such a great job of capitalizing on Mako's mistakes. Once again, it is Mako overstepping, trying to get the damage down. Suning punish him. They're not only going to get dragged, they're going to get a lot of good damage onto this mid lane turret, going to pick up a ton of kills, and for a team that we were highlighting, EDG are undefeated. EDG have looked so good in a lot of their wins. Suning now putting up a great fight against them, and I'd say that the 2 core champions of their composition, the Viego and the Gnar, are ahead, and Mako walking forward to get a ward, not feeling like he's in any threat, but so many members of Suning right there to capitalize. Chains of Corruption coming out, as well as Viego jumping in with the hold. Viper now going to be flanked by numerous members, and this was just EDG being caught with their pants down.
Yeah, you saw there, JJ and Scout just nowhere near it. They just could not contribute in any way, shape, or form, and now they're back up equal on gold. Still down a Dragon, but you've stopped the count, or the early Mountain Soul, very, very much so for the side of Suning, so you've given yourself time, and they have got a hell of a lot of damage to still come into this composition. Just even looking at how just generally tanky they are, apart from the virus, of course, like, it just takes a long, long time to really burn through the health bars of most of the members of Suning's composition.
Yeah, I also feel like a lot of what we're seeing in this game just kind of shows Mako specifically and his tendencies, right? Mako, much more of a tank player than he's an Enchanter player. He's played 21 games of Karma in his career. Compare that to his most played Alistar, over 100, Braum, over 100, Thresh, 90, Nautilus, 58. And I think a lot of it is like that muscle memory and just kind of being used to being able to walk up and get vision like that, being able to stand offensively, posture and threaten for and engage. We've seen players like PB make that mistake a lot this split when being put on Enchanters. Is you just don't have that same safety, just not the same, and they're being, Mako specifically right now, being punished.
Oh, speaking of being punished, Flandre in a lot of hurt right now. The equalizer goes down, stops him from getting into it, but they put him right back on those hot coals. Bin says, get your ass back in that. And they end up taking themselves the kill. They are going to look to try and take this turret once the wave comes in as well. They're going to be able to trade a kill and a turret in return on the other side, compared to EDG only taking the top lane turret.
And we see that Suning understands so much of how their competencies play out, right? You can leave Wanfang alone in mid as long as On is somewhat around. He's kind of being the go-between between the strong side of the map and then just catching waves in mid, because you're up against Nezreal Karma. They don't have the ability to all-in you. If they do all-in you, you can actually use the Chains of Corruption as a disengage tool, back off, and Suning have been completely playing around their Gnar and Diego in the sides of the map to find picks, to lead into more vision, and then take these skirmishes.
Really does feel like Suning have just come to life in this mid-game. On. Ooh, insta-cleanse. I was no longer impressed by the frame-perfect cleanse here from Viper, because he does it so damn often. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just something you have to be able to do when you're playing it on this top size. We do see now in the top lane, Scout in a lot of trouble. Bin TP'd in. You know, let's see a TP answered back. He still doesn't have used the solar flare, and Scout does go golden. So now Flandre might feel like he can come in round 2, fight. Now I have to go back on this ball. That's been happening. In mid lane. They're going to be able to take 2 kills in the mid lane while this is all happening. We were baited. We were outsmarted. They just could not find the kill in topside. But where it did happen was mid lane.
Yeah, Suning this split, and even a bit last split, right? They've been one of the best teams at utilizing the double solo lane plays on side lane. So they do that. It feels like it makes the rest of EDG forced to roam from mid, and the other 3 members of Suning are there to catch them off in rotation.
Wanfang, I think you're dead here, buddy. Don't think there's much place for you to go. You don't know flash. You didn't want to use the heal. They end up taking themselves turret in mid, turret in top for Suning, but they did lose Wanfang, and just stay a little bit too much there. It was almost fantastic setup for him and his team getting those 2 kills, but let's have a look at the replay of exactly how it all went down. I think it's just Viper gets caught out. Yeah. Oh, just gets caught there by the side of the Zenith Blade, and then that's all it is.
Let's also be clear that, like, this was a good setup by Suning, right? Because the double TP forces it to where your 2 solo laners don't win. So the rest of EDG's members feel forced to run up there and defend and look for that 5v5 play. But Suning, knowing that, coming out from a good angle of their jungle, catching them in transition, it was all set up by the side of Suning and executed well.
Executed very well. Suning only ahead of gold by about 800 or so. We'll call it 1,000 as we walk up towards this dragon in 30 seconds. And EDG, they've got the Zhonyas now for the Scout. They've got 2 items onto the Ezreal, so they are feeling pretty strong. But a black cleaver here for Bin onto the Gnar, so going to be able to shred down these armor stacking tanks on the Volibear and the Set. As we walk forward, you can see Angel just using that sweeper, making sure he knows where everyone's going to be, and this feels like it's going to be a fight very soon.
Yeah, and I want to keep my eyes on Bin, right? How much he can stack up his Mega Gnar and what kind of impact he can have, because he's the one who does have the large majority of the gold advantage that Suning do have. EDG being very tempered, though, trying to put down Viper's poke first, but I feel like an engagement come out on going to go in, change into an equalizer.
Yeah, might be able to try and get something going for them. Equalizer as well. Still available to them. They go in. There's the solar flare. They're going to land on the 2. The equalizer down, but I don't think they can steal it away. They cannot. So, soul point for EDG. Suning could not find the go button, but EDG found theirs. Now they're going to be able to take down On. Golden there is SOFM as the Gnar stolen puts Bin into the wall. EDG just got to wait for a couple of rotation of spells, and they might look to try and re-engage this fight. You can see Viper just peppering people down with Mystic Shots, throws out the True Shot Barrage and misses, but it is soul point for EDG. Yes, it was very much Suning finding the aggressive plays the last few times, but it's EDG, they still have that win condition.
I'm very surprised that Suning were so sheepish on the play. Bin was very close to actually hitting, getting his Mega Gnar bar all the way up to where he can look for that big play in combo with Leona. We're going to see here. He's very close. They back off. They drop the equalizer only to try to steal away the Drake. And then Suning EDG capitalize on them running away. They do also find the ult, but not really getting anything. And then I think as EDG, you're pretty much happy with what you were able to get. Let's remember that Silas, much better user in my opinion of the Gnar ultimate than Gnar himself. You have a lot of easier ways of closing distance than Gnar does, and also you're not relying on waiting for you to stack up a bar and turn really big. You can jump in anytime you want.
Yeah, once you have it there, you just get it. It's just straight up a shove, and you see now EDG about 1,000 gold behind, but still very much feeling confident that with the 3 Drakes they have in their inventories that they are able to take fights whenever they need. And like you said, they got the kill, they got the dragon, and then as soon as the Mega Gnar came out from Bin, they immediately backed themselves away. They do want nothing to do with it. They don't even give an opportunity over the side of Suning to try and get back in, back into that fight. And now with the waves very much in favor of EDG, they might start pressuring around this Baron. They are hovering towards this top side, maybe looking to try and maybe dive or just straight up look to try and take down a turret. As we see the solar flare going down, does land. It doesn't quite have enough follow-up there, so I'm going to have to wait for that cooldown to come back.
Yeah, and I like that we also saw Flandre already making his way up as well. Knowing that EDG's composition a lot more about the strength of numbers, being a full force of 5, providing that distance between Viper and the enemies on Suning so we can dish out those Mystic shots. For Suning, it's a lot more about making sure those waves are pushed. Is Scout being a little bit cheeky, trying to set something up with the Everfrost. They're not going to find it. I think for the side of EDG, right, you're hoping someone walks into the top side jungle. You could find some kind of pick with Scout jumping in first. Maybe try to bait them into this river. But I don't think Suning's going to fall for it.
Now, you say that, though, but On walked a little bit too close to the sun. We see the equalizer, great zoning equalizer, as we see the set go straight in. They try and just turn this one straight away around. Bin forces the flash out from Viper, and now the fight can really happen right now for Suning. They've got themselves a great foot in the door, but they don't have any more follow-up. No solar flare, weren't in a great position to put Bin in, but that was close.
Yeah, if Scout hit the Abscond of Duck, that would have been interesting. I want to see how that's going to play out. He's actually going to keep looking for it.
Oh, he goes land the Gnar, and he stole away, but now SOFM is here. They don't know exactly where the if they had have known any vision control whatsoever, if they had have known that everyone from EDG had backed away, Scout is dead. But they don't, so Scout survives.
Yeah, and that was a really nice equalizer coming out from SOFM, pretty much completely dissuading the play coming out from EDG, having a really nice angle to set up that equalizer. I feel like another great thing about that fight is you took away Viper's flash. Flandre also giving up his flash as well. The only flash that you don't have on your side is On's, and On is Hex Flash, On's on Leona. It is not a big deal. So coming up in 1 minute when we get to that dragon fight, this is where you want to see Suning capitalize on some of these summoner spells that EDG don't have.
There's a scary moment, though, in a minute's time. You have to fight at this dragon. This kind of goes back again to what Ben was saying in that pre-game interview. We feel like we're always just one step away from victory. It feels like we're always just one movement, one play away from actually taking away a win. And I feel like if you give EDG this Mountain Drake comboed with a Karma, it's just going to be so difficult to try and take actual poke at these guys with the Varus and with, the Gnar as well. As we can see, Viper needs to be a little bit careful. He has cleanse, but no flash, as we mentioned earlier. And now 26 seconds until that spawns. TP's available, and all flashes there, as you said, available for Suning. Can they look for a fight?
Scout trying to find the flank angle. If he can find his way on someone like Angel right now.
Didn't quite land the abscond abduct. Solar Flare comes down, does not quite clip Mako properly. He is now On's in a lot of trouble, and oh no, he has no flash. The one member who could not get caught out gets caught out, and that is going to mean an Mountain Soul for EDG. Oh, disaster for Suning.
Yeah, and they're going to try and trade by going to Baron, but EDG can make it there in time. Yeah, EDG have a Karma as well if they just want to Mantra E and even get there quicker, but they don't even need that. Suning going to try and find some kind of cheeky pick. Bin does have Mega. Equalizer's already back up.
Oh man, Flandre walks forward, does have the stride breaker, keep himself safe. You saw just how confident the side of EDG were. They weren't rushing to the Baron. They weren't waiting to see if they could, you know, oh, do we have to try and take this one, you know, this fight right now. They just set up, they went into mid lane, they said, right, we know they're probably not going to go for this, they're going to try and look for a turnaround fight. And now EDG find themselves a gold lead. EDG got themselves the soul, and EDG are taking turrets around the map.
Yeah, EDG just executing well on the... Oh, God, Scout's dead?
Yes, I think he is. Oh, is he, though? Flandre is TPing in, and Scout can keep himself alive for a hell of a long time. There is the escort service. Flash forward. The stun does land. We are going to see the solar flare kept on top of him. Bin jumps in, and now Flandre's got to leave. They do end up getting that kill, but now Flandre's in a lot of trouble because he is 1v5 as he tries to turn this one around. 2 kills going over to the side of... over to the side of Suning. I saw I saw the Viego with Angel, and I was like Silas, and I got very, very confused for a second. But now they can look to turn and burn onto this Baron. It's going to be onto Viper to keep everyone from Suning nice and low.
Angel has an angle.
He has an angle. Mako has to flash. Spin does fly in forward. There is a TP for Scout, so we need to be very careful. Look at the damage Viper's able to put down right now. SOFM flies in thinking he gets the kill, but no. Viper takes him down, and now he's feeling aggressive. Now he's feeling like he can take this fight. The Mystic shots are just doing so much damn damage. As they jump in straight away, Bin gets exhausted. He's going to have Mega in a second, but it's not enough. JJ picks up that kill, and what looked like a fantastic play from Suning turns right back around and is back in EDG's court. They get themselves the 2 kills. They're going to be able to pick themselves up the Baron. That's going to go into all of their favorite pockets or satchels or whatever the hell you want to talk about. But Suning, just one good play. It's like it's bad money after good with them at the moment.
The thing I don't understand, right, is they get those 2 picks. Scout and Flandre kind of throw away the advantage that EDG have, open up the Baron possibility for Suning, and you have Angel coming in on a TP on the left side. You can see him on the mini-map, so I don't understand why Suning don't play this a bit slower, try to bring Angel around down at an angle. Like, sure, I understand Viper's going to be putting up poke, but you're just in such a good position where Viper's able to outfight the skirmish. And, yeah, Viper does an exceptional job of just kind of, you know, making them look like little puppies dancing around, little puppets, Penguin, and Suning aren't able to do anything. I'm just so flabbergasted. I'm so flabbergasted that they find an advantage and they instantly just all funnel into Karma Ezreal with no real way of locking them down after the Chains of Corruption misses.
Yeah, you got such good kite back with the, you know, with the Karma, of course, and as well as that, like the volley bear, you got the Sky Splitter to be able to put down poke, and you can see now, on jump straight in onto Viper, and Viper may have walked a little bit too close to everybody there. That's a bit unfortunate, and Suning find themselves another advantage. Bing gets jumped on here. They do have the Mega Gnar stolen away from him, and now he is dead. Flandre finds a kill on the side as well, and one good advantage for Suning, but it gets turned right the way around. You can see the pings going down. They don't care about the fight anymore. They are going towards that bot side. They are going to be able to take themselves an inhibitor, and with these death timers, they may look for the game.
And I just can't believe how brawly this game is. They're going back and forth, but you're right. I actually think EDG can probably just end. They do have a wave incoming right now. You have about 20 seconds left, and only Angel.
Only Angel in the arms of an Angel, but the Viego ult has been stolen, so you got Scout being able to reposition himself, and they got themselves tanking up this turret. Angel knows it is over and done. EDG, it was scrappy, it was tough, it wasn't exactly how you wanted to win, but at the end of the day, they still take the game, and they are 1-0 up in this series.
How did that game just end there? We just come out of a fight, like sure there's a Baron, but just out of nowhere, the game's just over.
It's the fact
Suning started off by getting the pick.
I was just about to say, it's like, if you told me that the Ezreal Viper was going to die at the start of that fight, and the end result was EDG winning the game, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And honestly, this is kind of exactly what we talk about when we talk about Suning. It's the one step away. They go for skirmishes. They go for fights.
Talk about Suning.
It's how Suning talk about Suning. It feels like they find these moments to be able to get themselves in the advantage, in the the best foot forward, and then they throw it away just by weird engages or splitting up the fight onto 2 fronts. It just feels disconnected.
I mean, it's just weird because that last pickoff wasn't even a fight, right? Viper made a mistake, goes forward. You do not need to commit. You do not need to do anything after that. And then, like you're saying, we just see kind of fights on multiple fronts break out where members like Scout are just able to thrive. And yeah, that game overall, I think, was a bit of a head scratcher. I think we saw good in both bad moments for both teams, right? We saw Sunny doing a very good job of when they understood of like creating these picks on side lane, setting up that one play top side where double TPing with their soul laners. EDG try to match, you catch off the 3 in rotation. We saw EDG have like really good Drake setups, and there were times where they were extremely decisive with their engages. And then there were times where it just seemed like, hey, there's a guy in front of me. Let's go in. And then it's like, bam, SOFM equalizer comes down on all of EDG and they have to kite back, or, you know, vice versa. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how to think about that one, Penguin.
Yeah, it did feel like Suning were a dog with a bone. They just didn't know what to do. They had it. They were so excited they had it, and then they just, you know, they threw it away, or someone took it off and they asked them to throw it again. They didn't know what to do. They just kind of found themselves with advantages and kind of panicked, deer in headlights, you know, oh, right, well, we should just keep fighting because we're 5v4. And look at this goal graph, just so up and down, and you can see exactly where Suning get themselves an advantage and how quickly they lose it after getting it.
Big shout out to SOFM doing his best, highest damage on the team with the Rumble, but it was no match up against the Ezreal Karma. He had a ton of frontliners, and to be fair, I guess Viper didn't even really care about his frontliners. He was in the front most of the time, outputting the damage. And this is why we talked about this guy being, you know, Mr. Reliable for the side of EDG. It doesn't matter if he's not the one making all the flashiest plays all the time. He's going to be the one getting the damage down.
I think this is, again, another kind of hard pill to swallow for Suning. They need to get themselves back into a winning position now in this series. They are 1-0 down. EDG are not a team that are known to let people get back into their comforts, and I don't know, like, I suppose, like, as I said, we don't really know how to think about that game. There's not really much to kind of break down as like, oh, definitively they could have done this better. I think just calm down, relax, take a breather, think about what you're doing, and then come back into it. But we'll wait and see what they're able to do. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and when we return, we will have Game 2 very, very shortly.